Very good evening, friends. Meeting again in the session of Organon philosophy, and we are discussing the endocrinology. 251. We were discussing the homeopathic therapeutics in the field of endocrinology and certain disorders which are related with this. Already we have discussed. Then we have started discussing about the remedies. So earlier he has explained about the diabetes, he has explained about the menopause, he has explained about the hyperemesis gravidum, then he has explained about the peptic ulcer, many conditions like that in last thymus, all dwarf children have been explained by Robert over there. And thereafter he started giving you certain list about remedies. These are not only the remedies, but he is giving you certain remedies, how these are associated with the endocrinal problems. And we have learned 3-4 remedies in earlier lecture. We have discussed about the first remedy, pulsatilla, but pulsatilla never comes so close because pulsatilla is a remedy which is subacute in action. Second stage of inflammation or second to third stage of inflammation is covered with the pulsatilla. So it is not a remedy which is very often useful in endocrinal disorder. But second remedy which comes again and again over there is the lycopodium, and that he has highlighted over there. And again, in further lectures, you will find it out that lycopodium he has expressed again in this list in detail. The third remedy, which is deep acting and which is always useful in our practice and which is one of the important remedy after repertorization, is the sulfur, the king of antisoric remedies. And this sulfur has many more symptoms which are related with the endocrinal problems, including the diabetes mellitus, including the hot flushes, including the burning feet syndrome, there is dwarfism, all those things which are associated with that we have discussed in yesterday's lecture. I think we have finished these 3 remedies in last lecture. Let us start with the page number 251, the fourth remedy which he highlights and which is very, very useful in the endocrinal disorders. In fact, plays very vital role in endocrinal disorders is phosphorus. Phosphorus resembles sulfur in its field of usefulness in many of its symptoms, while being quite different in its classical constitution. Where sulfur is indolent, phosphorus is overexcitable. He is erotic in many manifestations. The word erotic has happened over there in my book. Erotic. It is erotic in many manifestations and erratic in most symptoms related to the sexual functions. So phosphorus, as we know, phosphorus is a very active miasm. It is not purely soric, it is not purely syphilitic, it is sorosyphilitic. Tubercular miasm is there. Sulfur is purely soric. So differentiation you commonly get over there very easily, even though both of them are burning remedies. Sulfur is better by cold. Phosphorus externally felt better by hot and internally felt better by cold. So that is the characteristic of phosphorus. Phosphorus is tall, slender, weak, emaciated, narrow-chested, losing flesh many times while eating well. And this condition generally goes in favor of hyperthyroidism also in phosphorus. It is a remedy from tubercular constitution and tubercular miasm. Excitability at sexual level is very characteristic of the phosphorus which you can get over there. These manifestations range from insanity or lascivious ideas to very vicarious menstruation, impotency, and abnormal laborers. So this is a remedy which is closely associated with the sexual functions, overexcitability followed by impotency. The vicarious menstruation, so nasal bleeding, in epistaxis instead of menses, such types of symptoms which you commonly get with the phosphorus. And this remedy is one of the important remedy which has affections of the glands. Because tubercular miasm itself affects the glands. Glands gets affected in tubercular miasm. Phosphorus affects the development of physical body in the child, his ability to concentrate his mental efforts and normal functioning of the adults, just as in sulfur. We know the phosphorus has tall, slender, weak, emaciated. The tallness, excessive tallness, like Marfan syndrome, which you can get over there in phosphorus very commonly. They are so emaciated And second thing, if you see their skin is very delicate. It is as good as it is transparent. And that's why the blood vessels, you can very easily find it out under the skin over there in this specific remedy. Then comes phosphorus affects the development of the physical body in the child, his ability to concentrate his mental efforts. Concentration difficult, restlessness, very characteristic of the phosphorus, which you can get over there. Prostrated energies from loss of vital fluids or loss of fluids and from emotional and physical strain are characteristic of phosphorus as against general lack of energy in sulfur. So prostrated energy specifically related with the emotional and physical strain, which is characteristic of phosphorus, which we have already discussed. Sulfur, it is a general debility, which you can get many a times. But here, the high energy followed by a weakness, debility is characteristic of phosphorus because they don't have that strain to bear that. Activity is hectic. That is the word which is used in phosphorus and phosphoric acid, that hectic activity. That is the characteristic of tubercular miasm and which you can get over there. So fourth remedy which he explains in relation with the endocrinal problem is the phosphorus. It is the remedy which has very specific action on the glands. Then next remedy which he highlights over there is the phosphoric acid. I generally tell everyone that debilitated phosphorus is the phosphoric acid, or debilitated phosphorus with impotence is phosphoric acid. Very characteristic of which you can get over there. And there is a great craving for the juicy things. You get that rubric in your repertory, craving for juicy things. So both phosphorus and phosphoric acid are to be considered to be in glycosuria and as well as other glandular difficulty. The sixth remedy which he highlights over there for the endocrinal disorder is nitric acid, a psychosyphilitic remedy. Nitric acid has a powerful action on glandular dysfunctions, especially of the syphilitic origin. Although it is antipsoric and antipsychotic as well. Sensitiveness is keynote of this remedy and of the head and affected parts to touch, to jars, to sudden emotions or sudden change in tempo of the motion, to cold, to changes in the weather, tendency to take cold, etc. So nitric acid is very sensitive, even though it is a acid remedy, but it is very sensitive. The splinter-like pains is the characteristic of this specific remedy, and nitric acid is the remedy which is emotionally has many features. They are the persons who hate, once they become hatred towards anyone, it becomes rather fixed in their mind. Here, it is more psychotic, and hatred towards persons who are offended easily and unmoved by an apology is very characteristic. Single remedy you can get over there in your repertory. So this is the important feature of this specific remedy, and this also affects the glands. There is great disturbance of the circulation. The fingers, the toes appears livid, pale, cold, and dead at a time. The characteristic sensation of a splinter in the affected parts, particularly in such tissues as tonsils, is found also in argentum nitricum and hypersulfuricum. Argentum nitricum, again, it has the same sensation because the base is nitric. Nitric has very specifically splinter-like sensation. And this is related more commonly with tonsil. Tonsil is again one of the gland which gets affected over there. In nitric acid, the disturbance of sexual organs and functions rivals phosphorus, and sometimes there is almost much lasciviousness. Nitric acid is also a remedy where you get lasciviousness as which you get in phosphorus. And both of them have a latter the impotency or weakness. In general, the sensitiveness and excitability is uppermost, but they tire quickly. So there is sensitivity, they are excitable, there is high energy, but followed very easily with the exhaustion. This is nitric acid. The debility which comes immediately afterwards is nitric acid. Old people calling for this remedy manifest excessive prostration. So excessive prostration is another characteristic which you can get over there in this specific remedy. So that prostration, which affects a lot, is very typical of nitric acid. Then again, he goes towards the lycopodium here, which he has earlier he has explained very few features about the lycopodium. Here he explains it more detailed manner. Lycopodium, another name is vegetable sulfur. Those who are the students, just write over there on side, it is MCQ. Which remedy is called to be a vegetable sulfur is lycopodium. It is a 2 marks question in the MCQs. Vegetable sulfur or lycopodium is one of the greatest trio of remedies. Sulfur, calcarea, lycopodium. This sequence you keep it in your mind: calcarea followed by lycopodium followed by sulfur. Alphabetically, if you write it down, you will never forget. So you can give lycopodium after calcarea, but not after sulfur. The same is true. You give sulfur after lycopodium, but not after calcarea. And same is true for the calcarea also. You cannot give sulfur after calcarea, but you have to give the lycopodium. So this is a trio of remedies, and all of them are anti-soric, but out of them, lyco is more psychotic. Lycopodium is one of the great trio of remedies, sulfur, calcarea, and lycopodium, about which, as Clark says, all the rest of the materia medica can be grouped. Like the rest of the trio, it has swollen glands and is one of the few specifically mentioned as having the goiter. So this is again one remedy where you get a goiter. This is very specifically right-sided affections and right-sided ovarian cyst. Again, a entity which is related with the endocrines. Acute glandular affections start on right side and tend to move to the left. The characteristic of lycopodium. If it is going from right to left, is lycopodium. If it goes from left to right, it is lachesis. And if it goes from right to left and again left to right, alternating, it is laccaninum. So three important remedies you must know regarding this site determination. The first is lycopodium, right to left, lachesis, left to right, and alternating like right to left and again left to right is the laccaninum. This is one of the few remedies mentioned in the Materia Medica as definitely tending to enlargement of the bony tissues, whereas phosphorus tends to the thickening of the bony tissue. So lycopodium also has a role in the bony tissues. Phosphorus is more marked over there, whereas thickening in case of phosphorus. But see the depth of lycopodium. Lycopodium is not purely soric. It has many aspects of psychotic, at the same time many aspects of syphilitics also. Characteristically, lycopodium has a furrowed face and forehead. Frowning, frown disposed to be. This is the rubric. This is a frowning, and this type of frowning is very characteristic of this remedy, lycopodium. You get very few remedies in frowning. Lycopodium, naxomica, then stramonium, so sepia, sulfur, all of them are having a typical frowning. These furrows are very characteristic over there in lycopodium. So characteristically, lycopodium has a furrowed face and forehead, thin face, neck, and perhaps upper chest, while he remains plump below, and there is progressive emaciation from above down. So see, this is something missing or misleading towards it. But very important thing is that it is lycopodium has the constitution which is semi-dropsical. Upper half of the body is weak, lower half of the body is big. It has very characteristically the neck emaciated. You get a rubric if you have a synthesis repertory or if you have complete repertory, emaciation neck, and you get the remedies. Lycopodium is one of the remedy. Other than natramure. Sepia also comes in that list. Great weariness and lassitude, especially in the legs after slight exertion, and great want of bodily heat. Deadness of the fingers and hands, as in nitric acid. He feels as if the circulation is suspended. Very much debilitated state, specifically in upper and lower extremity, very characteristic over there in lycopodium. And generally it happens because of obesity of lycopodium, because of which their legs don't carry such a strength over there. So it is a very typical feature of their mentally he is as fearful as phosphorus and the alkalis. So very important thing, there is a very much typical feeling that phosphorus and kalis as what he says is the mentally he is fearful. Cowardice is the very important rubric which you used to use or think about in lycopody. Cowardice means bekad. They are very frightful doing everything. That is the characteristic of lycopodium. These are the people. But once they start performing or goes anywhere, they perform. But before that, there is a tremendous anticipatory anxiety. So that's why it is a remedy which comes over there in anticipation, stage fright. The lycopodium is one of the important remedy, but lycopodium performs the over there. Once he performs, starts performing, he has the capacity. Cilicia is also a remedy over there, but Cilicia doesn't have a capacity to go on stage. They never goes on stage to perform because this is the difference between the lycopodium and Cilicia. Both of them are very close to each other because the lycopodium plant contains more amount of silica over there. So mentally, he is fearful as phosphorus and kalis, as sad as nitric acid and natron. So sadness also comes in lycopodium like nitric acid as well as natron. The burning pains makes us think about burning of sulfur and phosphorus. Another important feature, burning pains. So burning trio we know, arsenic, arsenic, the sulfur and phosphorus. Arsenic burning better by heat, sulfur burning better by cold, phosphorus burning internally better by cold, externally better by heat. This is very important thing one must keep in their mind and where we can differentiate the remedies. Lycopodium also has burning feet syndrome. Probably lycopodium is the most flatulent remedies we shall consider unless it be carbovage which has the more heartburn. There are three remedies again. When you think about flatulent remedies, one of them is the China, or which is called as cinchona. Second is called as a carbovage, and third is lycopodium. The differentiation one must keep it in their mind. Carbovage has a upper part of the abdomen. There is flatulence. Lycopodium has flatulence in lower part of the body, and the whole abdomen flatulence is there with the cinchona bar. And these are three important remedies which are very important for the indigestion and flatulent tendency. So, one more remedy which we have discussed in today's session is lycopodium. We have discussed phosphorus, phosphoric acid, nitric acid, lycopodium in today's session. Tomorrow we'll continue with the natrum group because it is a big group and natrum, many remedies from natrum. Tomorrow's session will be completely explained about the natrum. So tomorrow we'll continue with the natrum. Today we'll stop over here and we'll meet tomorrow at the same time. So that's all for today. Thank you and good evening.
Thank you, sir. Have a good evening.
Thank you.